Dear students, we can see about feedback control of hormone production. Before going to the topic, please subscribe my channel, press the bell icon for notifications, like, share among your friends and comment. Dear students, the physiological activity of hormones depends largely on its concentration in the circulatory system. The effects of too high or too low concentration may damage and that should be controlled. The hormone secretion depends on feedback mechanism. That means when the level of hormone is very low in the circulatory system, that will give a signal to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus will releasing factors that will trigger the anterior lobe of pituitary, thereby the tropic hormones will release that trigger the target organ to produce the hormone. The endocrine system has the following general pattern. A signal is received, hormonal response takes place and a reaction occurs. Endocrine glands react to hormonal changes in the blood in much the same way that a thermostat reacts to temperature changes. The glands, which do not constantly secrete hormones, rely on the presence or absence of hormones in the blood to turn their secretions on and off. If there is not enough hormone circulating in the blood, the endocrine glands make more, increasing blood hormone levels. If there is too much hormone, the glands stop producing it, leading to lower blood hormone levels. The liver also plays a role by removing hormone from the blood and breaking them apart. So, there are two types of feedback mechanisms. One is negative feedback mechanism and the other is positive feedback mechanism. Feedback loops are used extensively to regulate secretion of hormones in the hypothalamic pituitary axis. Feedback circuits are at the root of most control mechanisms in physiology and are particularly prominent in the endocrine system. Instances of positive feedback certainly occur, but negative feedback is much more common. Negative feedback mechanism. It occurs when the original effect of the stimulus is reduced by output. Negative feedback mechanism normalizes the things when they start becoming too extreme. For example, the thyroid gland is regulated by a negative feedback mechanism. Hormone secreted by the hypothalamus stimulates the pituitary gland to release thyroid stimulating hormone. In turn, the thyroid stimulating hormone triggers the thyroid gland to release its hormone. That is shown by the green arrow in the figure. When the thyroid level increases, hormones stop the secretion of thyroid releasing hormone by the hypothalamus and secretion of TSH by the pituitary gland by the feedback mechanism. That is shown with a red arrow. The secretion of hormone by the thyroid gland is inhibited without the stimulation of TSH. Thyroid hormone level fall very low. The insulin secretion by pancreas is also controlled by negative feedback mechanism. This is the positive feedback mechanism. It occurs when the original effect of the stimulus is enhanced by the output. Condition become extreme in this mechanism. Milk secreted by a mother's mammary gland is one of the example of positive feedback mechanism. While suckling, the nerve sends signal from the nipple to stimulate the pituitary gland to secrete prolactin. In turn, prolactin triggers the mammary gland to secrete milk. As the baby suckles more milk, more prolactin is secreted and more milk is produced. That is shown by the green arrows in the diagram. What is the mechanism of hormone production by the endocrine glands? The hypothalamic pituitary gonadal HPG axis. The hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis include hypothalamus, pituitary gland and gonads. The hormones involved are gonadotrophin releasing hormone GnRH, secreted from the hypothalamus, luteinizing hormone LH and follicle stimulating hormone FSH are produced by anterior pituitary gland and estrogen and testosterone produced by the gonads. LH and FSH are known as gonadotrophins. It is essential for the control of the reproductive system and regulate the production of gametes and sex steroids. Functions of gonadotropin. luteinizing hormone function in male are which stimulate the Leydig cells in the testes to produce testosterone, the main male sex steroid hormone. Testosterone has numerous effects including stimulates formation of sperm, that is spermatogenesis in the testis, maintenance of libido, that is sexual drive, development of secondary sexual characteristics, that is pubic, axillary and facial hair, growth of external genitalia, deepening of voice, muscle growth, bone growth, promotion of anabolic reactions. Functions in females include stimulate the ovary to produce estradiol, causes the ovary to release an egg during ovulation. If fertilization occurs, luteinizing hormone will stimulate the corpus luteum, which produces progesterone to sustain the pregnancy. Next gonadotrophin is follicle stimulating hormone or FSH. In male, FSH drives sperm production in the Sertoli cells of the testis as well as synthesis of protein important for the production and action of steroid hormones. They include androgen binding protein, which maintain high levels of testosterone locally in the luminal space of seminiferous tubules. P450 aromatase, an enzyme that converts testosterone to estradiol. Growth factors that support sperm cells and spermatogenesis that result in increasing the number of sperm cells as well as promote motility and fertility potential of sperm. Inhibins, which have a selective negative feedback effect on FSH only and not LH, that inhibits FSH production but does not inhibit LH production. They also act as growth factors on Leydig cells. In females, LH and FSH stimulate the ovary to produce mature gamete as well as synthesis and secretion of estrogens and progestins. LH binds to theca cells on developing follicle as well as granulosa cells. After ovulation, LH binds to cells of the corpus luteum. It acts on theca cells to produce progestin and androgens. Androgens enter granulosa cells and are then converted to estrogens. FSH bind to granulosa cell to increase production of enzyme that catalyze the production of steroid hormones stimulating follicle growth. Increase production of activins which have a positive feedback effect on anterior pituitary. Increase production of inhibin which have a selective negative feedback effect on pituitary. Help to convert androgen to estrogen. In females, the feedback effects include estrogen and progestin act on the anterior pituitary and hypothalamus to exert negative and positive feedback effects. Moderate estrogen levels exert negative feedback on LH and FSH secretion. High estrogen levels in the absence of progesterone positively feedback on LH and FSH secretion. Estrogen in the presence of progesterone exerts negative feedback on the HPG axis. Progesterone is a sex steroid released by the corpus luteum, which is what the follicle turns into after the egg has been released during ovulation. Progesterone increases the inhibitory effect of moderate estrogen concentration levels on LH and FSH secretion. However, progesterone prevents the positive feedback effect of high estrogen concentration on the pituitary. Regulation of the hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis. Gonadotrophin releasing hormone GnRH is released in a pulsatile fashion from neurons in the hypothalamus. These neurons form an interconnected network with other neural circuit of the brain, allowing for integration of various signals including light-dark cycles, body fat levels and stress. GnRH acts on GnRH receptors found on gonadotroph cells of the anterior pituitary, stimulating the production of two hormones, luteinizing hormone LH and follicle stimulating hormone FSH. LH and FSH are released in an episodic fashion, reflecting the pulsatile release of GnRH. LH and FSH then act on the gonad, that is testis and ovary, with different effects. See, that is shown in this figure. Hypothalamus secretes GnRH to anterior pituitary, produces LH and FSH, then gonads produce sex hormones. When high concentration of sex hormones are in the blood, which will inhibit the production on anterior pituitary and hypothalamus. Dear students, I hope you know the mechanism how hormone production is under the control. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and please subscribe my channel.